The irony of Spider-Man Brand New Day is amazing to me. This film ironically really does feel like a love letter. I think the film actually does a great job of establishing Peter's letter to MJ as the objectification of the story. Peter is trying to get back what he lost and hold on to what's familiar and comfortable, which is very relatable. I'm somebody that loves nostalgia. But this film reminds us of how fast life can change, like Aunt May tries to tell Peter. None of us can stop a brand new day from happening. We actually fear what's new, what's uncertain, or unexpected. A brand new day can mean starting over. And it's not easy, but we have to be able to accept and live with that, and other people's decisions. Otherwise, we'll just keep falling behind and it's exhausting. You cannot expect people to choose you the way that you choose them. You can't expect them to choose you that way back. You can't expect people to, even when they say they care, or even when they verbally commit to things or say things, you can't expect them to see things the same way that you see them, or to feel the same way that you feel. And it's funny because when you're comforting somebody and you're speaking with them, you'll say, I understand. And something that I try to do is to remember to say, well, maybe it's not fair for me to say that I understand. I think that I can empathize with how you feel, but you may not necessarily fully understand how that person may feel in that moment or what's going through their mind. And that's okay. That is okay. We cannot be in control of everything. And as much as we want to be, as much as we want to hold on to that feeling of security, it's not what we always have control of. It's not what we should be exhausting all of our energies to hold on to. A lot is already changing on top of transitioning into a full adult, but imagining how it is for Peter Parker, whose body is literally changing. He has to hold back when he fights his villains and foes. He constantly has to consider so many things and variables, both in life and in studies in science. Peter tries to neglect who he is, and we've seen that since No Way Home. He tries to put Peter Parker on the back burner while also controlling the arachnid part of himself that he treats like a monster that just needs to just come out. And that, I think, was a symbol for expression. We naturally need proper expression as human beings, and we cannot fake it. We cannot deny it. We are human. And, I find a nice contrast, or I should say not a contrast, but just a reflection between Spider-Man Brand New Day and Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2. Because in that film, we see Tobey Maguire's Peter Parker slash Spider-Man go through this arc where he is trying to ditch Spider-Man completely because of how life is just going, and he just wants to focus completely on Peter Parker. But responsibility, that is Spider-Man's virtue. You see, if you want to talk about the big three between Batman, Superman, and Spider-Man, Batman represents justice, Superman represents hope, and Spider-Man represents responsibility. In Spider-Man Brand New Day, we see Peter Parker trying to do all of this while he clearly hasn't healed from his wounds. He hasn't taken time to actually care for his wounds. No Way Home was a lot. He takes comfort in the shell of being Spider-Man all the time, like a void. And speaking of a void, Yelena is in this film. She's featured in this film, and I like how she points out Peter Parker's sadness, the fact that he is sad and he's not saying it. And, it was full circle for me because I loved Thunderbolts and the relationship and dynamic between Yelena and Bob in that film, which who we know is Sentry slash the Void. It's just beautiful. It's just full circle to see. And I think that every scene with Yelena, you might say it was unnecessary, whatever. She didn't serve much to the plot. She helped. But I liked how she pointed out the fact that Peter Parker Spider-Man is sad. Yelena is a likable character. She brings not only her personality to this film, but she also brings a sort of feeling of life for Peter Parker. Or at least I would feel like that if I was him in that scene. Somebody that I don't really know genuinely looking out for my well-being, the way I feel. We don't get a lot of that genuinely in our world. But also the fact that Yelena understands being in a void and letting oneself just get comfortable in that, which is pretty easy for Peter Parker in Spider-Man Brand New Day. He just keeps neglecting, even his AI system literally tells him. And she is voiced by an actress that played his mother in another project. I'm forgetting specific names right now, but you can see it right here. Honestly, all of that is nice. It was just very painful to watch. It's almost like you could sort of tell certain things that were going to happen in some scenes. And I'm specifically talking about any scene that had to do with Peter Parker having a genuine human interaction with somebody where he's just not alone or shutting himself out. I absolutely believe that Spider-Man Brand New Day delivers in ways that past Spider-Man films may have not. I absolutely do believe that, and it is a good thing. It's beneficial for Spider-Man Brand New Day. I've talked a lot about anyone who's around my age or who's my age just feeling the relatability in this film. We've literally grown up with Tom Holland's Peter Parker, Spider-Man, him in his role, in this role. Spider-Man Homecoming, when that dropped, I was 10 years old. When Spider-Man Far From Home dropped, I was 12. And when Spider-Man No Way Home dropped, I think I was about 14. And then when Spider-Man Brand New Day now drops, I'm 19 years old, so it's full circle. It's really full circle. Being in my young adult years, and I'm sure I'm not the only one who can attest to this, I'm just never free from the recurring feeling of uncertainty of my future or whatever I'm thinking about, and just the fear of the unknown on top of just naturally being someone that gets lost in my thoughts and emotions. As someone that also just has so much love for people to in my heart and care for the well-being of others that I can just never convey it enough into words, but also wants to have such a good impact on the world and others around me, my emotional and mental connection to Spider-Man Brand New Day is pretty abstinent. I unintentionally feel so deeply, and I just can't stop thinking about this film. I haven't been able to, which is why it's taken me some time to even make content specifically talking about the themes in the film and just the film overall. But like, it's also in ways that I just haven't thought about Peter Parker or Spider-Man before. Spider-Man Brand New Day opened my mind to different avenues for sure, for my mind to explore. I didn't know how to feel about this film when I first watched it. And as much as I'm passionate and I believe in what I want to do, this is about my life. But like, life is still scary as hell. We can all say that. But Peter Parker reminds us to just take a leap of faith. Shout out Miles Morales. We're getting another banger of a Spider movie next year with Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse. And you know, we can learn to just not fear jumping into that and taking that leap of faith. We'll feel it, it's natural, but I think the better thing to say is to not let that fear stop us. Spider-Man teaches us to just embrace all of who we are. The journey to watching Spider-Man Brand New Day and actually experiencing it was nothing but exhilarating. The film reminds us that we do not have to isolate ourselves, even though it feels really comfortable to. The spell made people forget who Peter Parker is or was, no, is, but Peter also allowed himself to be forgotten. And he stayed in that void of trying to just only focus on Spider-Man, and we see how that goes for him. We are who we are, even in such a fake and superficial world. I understand feeling like, and just, you know, living, like you're just feeling like you're in a shell, you're just a walking shell. I feel that, I understand that. I understand feeling like it's just not, like life just almost like it isn't real. And, you know, Doctor Strange was right about one thing in No Way Home by telling Peter, the problem is you trying to live two different lives, and the more you do that, the more dangerous it becomes. See, the key words there is different, trying to live two different lives. Peter Parker is Spider-Man. I don't know, maybe I am just yapping, which, to be fair, I do that a lot when it comes to this type of stuff, but I need to know your thoughts. I love to know your thoughts. Feel free to comment, like, and follow for more. It is your boy, reelbizzz, always here to give you the real news, sending love, and y'all stay blessed.